Good afternoon, everyone. If you're sitting in any of the outer pavilions over there and you want to come on over, feel free. We're going to get started here. Let me see if I have any slack to walk around. I'm going to do my best to avoid the cameras. If you haven't seen our agenda today, we have a very, very lengthy agenda compared to previous years. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeff Garvas. I'm the president of Ohioans for Concealed Carry. And this is our 5th annual Party in the Park. Thank you. I think you'll realize today that over the past 5 years of holding these picnics, we've become the event to come to if you're involved in firearms in Ohio or if you're involved in political office in Ohio. I think that's really easy to recognize because if you look at the agenda today, we have every single candidate for the Attorney General's office in this special election for November. That means we have the Republican, the Democrat, the Independent. We have every single person seeking that office coming here to speak to you today because they want your vote. That really speaks to how far we've come in the 9 years that Ohioans for Concealed Carry has existed in becoming a political force. Thank you. 9 years ago, if you said you wanted concealed carry, you'd probably get laughed at. I can tell you because I got laughed at by just about everyone I talked to in a gun show. So to look at where we've come, I think we would be mistaken not to thank every one of you that help us make Ohioans for Concealed Carry successful. For those of you that come to these events, for those of you that come to the Fun and Gun, coming to the open carry walks that we've had in the past, without having grassroots supporters, just having an organization and a website wouldn't have done anything, wouldn't have had any success. A couple of things that I've been asked to talk to today by other people in our organization are some of the changes that we're doing as an organization, some of the things that are going to impact some of you. How many people here, just by show of hands, how many people here use the forums on a regular basis? Okay. Now we know how much money to invest in forums. No. Those of you, obviously, I mean, for those of you that didn't see that, almost 100% of the crowd just raised their hands. I'm sure all of you know that we've been having problems with the forums, lots of errors, lots of slowness and stuff like that. Just so you know, we're actively working on upgrading them. There's actually an upgrade coming this week where the look and feel of the forums is going to change. A whole bunch of new features are coming to the forums. It's hopefully going to be a lot more speedy and snappy and less errors. And we're going to be moving to another environment yet again to make them more responsive. And the problem with forums is kind of interesting. The reason that we keep running into problems with them is because they continue to grow. If you look at the forums on any given day, almost any time of day, there's anywhere between 25 and 50 people simultaneously logged into the forums. And the problem with that is the more people you have, the more memory and the more computer and the more processor you need. And that's where our problem is with growth. As anyone will tell you, growth in a grassroots effort is not a problem, it's a good thing. It just costs more. With that, I'm going to move on to our Clyde situation. If you followed the Clyde lawsuit, or if you were here last year, you heard our attorney Dan Ellis talk to you about all the intricate details of Clyde. And since then, we've gone through a Supreme Court hearing, and we're waiting for our decision, which is going to come down any Wednesday now. Any Wednesday between today and probably the end of October, I anticipate the Ohio Supreme Court to come down and render a ruling in Ohioans for Concealed Carry versus Clyde, which is going to have a huge effect on the state of Ohio. First of all, if we win, no local government can pass or enforce a local gun law, short of zoning regulations. I think that's huge. If we lose, it's going to be an interesting playing field with respect to gun laws in the state of Ohio. I really believe that we have a fair chance, but we've been to the Supreme Court in Ohio before, and we've been disappointed by the Supreme Court in Ohio more than one time. So, with all that said, I want to address a couple of legislative things that we hope to tackle. You all know we've been really successful in Ohio with multiple bills. What's coming, basically, in the future for Ohioans for Concealed Carry is to see things that we haven't yet achieved. We have success with, Senate Bill 184. What we don't have is stand your ground legislation outside of your home. That exists in other states. It should exist here in Ohio. There shouldn't be this obligation to prove in extensive detail that you were legitimately defending yourself with force. something that's been important to me since we managed to get concealed carry in Ohio, and something that I've sought, is concealed carry in a restaurant. I see no reason why you can't carry it in Applebee's. I'm glad that one's popular. Another thing that we're looking to do is obviously follow the pattern of other organizations in the country. We want to be able to say that if you go to a parking lot and you're employed there, your employer should be able to fire you. There's all these things that we want to see happen in Ohio, and the only way we're going to do that is with continued support from people like those of you that are here today, and those of you here getting more people like you to join the organization and to get involved. Get involved if you want to write for the website, write for the newsletter, go to the State House. If you live in this area and you can make it to the State House once or twice a year for us, that's huge. We would love to find people who would like to go sit down with a lawmaker, even if it's just your own. You'll get some more information from Brian here when it comes to the Political Action Committee. The other only thing that I'd like to see us get in Ohio, and I'm kind of going to gauge the crowd on this, is I'd like to see Ohio adopt mandatory Eddie Eagle like the state of Florida has. I'd like to see it as a requirement in our schools. I say that because everyone who's opposed to us having a gun, carrying a gun, and owning a gun says that, what about the children? Yet all they want to do is pass a law that says that you have to lock your gun up and basically prosecute someone after the fact. And I've always felt, since I've gotten involved in this cause, that it makes more sense to educate children ahead of time. I have every intention of teaching my 2.5-year-old daughter not to go near my guns in the right way, not to go after someone after the fact because of the lack of education of their children. Has very little to do with concealed carry, but more to do with the success of maintaining our rights in Ohio. With that said, we do have a huge agenda. I'm going to let other people that are going to come after me introduce those people on an individual basis. If you want to know, if you want a sneak peek of who's coming, go ahead and grab yourself an agenda if you didn't get one when you checked in. For those of you that are new, and actually I forgot to ask this, how many people here today are at your first picnic for our organization? That's amazing. I love that. For those of you who've never been here before, we have a list of speakers that you're going to see, and following the speakers, following the keynote speaker this year, we will do the door prizes. Everything on those tables over there is door prize. It'll take us a little bit of time to get through them, leading up to the main prize, which is a firearm that if you pass a NICS check today, you'll go home with. I don't know the status on the FAT system. I guess when we want to go give it to Dan here, I'll let him talk, but we did have some technical difficulties with an inability to make it dark enough in there to be realistic. So as soon as they realize, as soon as we get a chance to talk to them and see where we're at with that, we will probably not open that until after all the speakers, possibly during the door prize drawing, because that kind of gets to be a loose environment here. With that, I'm gonna hand the microphone over to Dan White and let him address some of the issues that he'd like to talk about.